Hello, everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And on today's episode, it is day one of sort of day one of free agency. It's the first day of legal tampering, the negotiation period. But effectively, it is day one of free agency.
Correct.
Yeah, I think officially day one starts Wednesday, but as of noon today, teams were able to negotiate and signings are being announced all over the place. So
yeah, and I think it's always seen it one time where someone agreed on day one and then didn't sign, and that I forget who it was. It was a receiver, and that team also signed 3 other big name receivers, and he was like, "Yeah, nah."
yeah. So there's been some Panthers news. Actually, been a couple of announced signings for the Panthers, which. Well, one announced signing and then one that's, right there. And we've lost a couple of guys as well. So I guess we'll start with the departures. The Panthers have cut Morgan Fox and AJ Bouye for salary cap reasons, basically.
Yeah.
It clears up, about $5-6 million total, I think, between the two of them. And then Hassan Reddick announced that he was going to Philadelphia. 3 years, $45 million. That's a lot.
Good for him. My big thing is, takeaway from this, is there any free agents that we signed last year that are on this team this year? Oh, wait. Yeah, the two horrible linemen are sticking around. Yeah. But other than that, look how bad that free agency class is. And we're going to sit with dead cap money by cutting Fox and, AJ Bouye, because
it's not a ton of dead cap money, but it's it's not insignificant.
No.
But I'm sure there are other. Frankie Louvu, he's a guy that's still here. But in terms of the day one signings, those guys are here. But Hassan Reddick, I was really hoping that the Panthers would find a way to keep him, but they were never going to pay $15 million a year for him.
Yeah.
They just weren't going to do that.
That's a lot of money for him. He's done. He deserves it. He's played well, but that's a lot of money.
Yeah, he earned it. He earned it. His last 2 seasons have been as good as anybody's. So congrats to him.
So after that, Panthers have finally started making some signings. Safety Xavier Woods, 3-year, $15.35 million. I like it. I don't think he's a great safety, but I think he's had up and down seasons, and you bring him in, he's still young. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's a reasonable deal. He had 108 tackles last year with Minnesota. His only year with Minnesota. Previously, he was with the Cowboys. He played every single snap last season. He started every game, played every single snap, and I like the deal. I like him. He, like you said, he's not a Pro Bowler, but I think he's a solid piece, and I was very happy with the signing.
Yeah, it's better than Justin Burris.
Yeah,
that wasn't dogging Justin Burris. It was just it's an upgrade.
And if we happen to lose Jeremy Chin in a trade, it's good insurance there. I like the signing. There's another deal the Panthers are close to making with guard Austin Corbett, who I believe was with the Rams.
Yeah, he's second round pick out of the Rams. So
no money on that one yet. I looked at Spot Rack. His market value was a little over $8 million a year. He's a guy that I think has given up 4 sacks in the last 5 years, or 5 sacks in the last 4 years, or something like that. So he's pretty good. He's a good guard, and that again, Pat Elflein, this guy is not. This is a really good signing.
No, 100%.
If they can make it.
Yeah, it looks like it. Panthers.com is reporting it, so I'm assuming it's all basically but finalized.
Right.
So I like that signing too. Good solid guard. Put besides Moton or whoever the left tackle is going to be. And if it is Deshaun Watson trade, it's probably going to be Christensen because of the simple fact that they
they're
can't
not going to have
recap.
any, they're not going to have much money, and they're not going to have any draft picks. So,
but
yeah,
like you texted me earlier, the salary cap's an imaginary number. I mean,
yeah,
the New Orleans Saints are trying to trade for Deshaun Watson. He's a $40 million cap hit. There were $6 million over the cap this morning. I don't know if they've made any moves, but how does that?
yeah. It's a myth. The salary cap is a myth. I've been saying this for years now, and we have a perfect example of the Saints. Every year, it seems
Mm-hmm.
like they come in. What was that like last year? They were
40
like
million
40 million
over?
over the cap or something. They
Yeah.
were still making signings. They were still doing what they needed to do. Um, it's just there's always a way to make it work. There's
Yeah.
always a way to make it work. So, um, yeah, I think that's kind of it right now. Again, we're recording this Monday night about 8:45 Eastern. So if there are any signings or news that comes out after this, we'll pick it up on our next episode. But really, we kind of wanted to talk about Deshaun Watson today because it seems like it's down to the Panthers and the Saints
Yeah.
from multiple different people reporting this. I've heard the Browns maybe as well, but it seems like Houston might want to keep him out of the AFC. So it seems like it's the Saints and the Panthers. Matt Rule and David Tepper were down there meeting with Deshaun Watson today, as were coach of the Saints and I think their owner as well.
Dennis Allen and I don't know their new
Or it might have been
name.
their GM. Yeah, it might
Yeah.
have been their GM. But either way, both parties were there and are done. They're done with their meetings. So it's just going to be if Deshaun wants to meet with any other teams. But it seems like this could get done here within the next couple of days.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. I had a feeling it was going to be done today or tomorrow. I have a feeling it's going to be done tomorrow. It's my first day I have to go back to work, so it's going to break in the middle of the day, and I won't be able to report on it till like 8:30 at night.
Yeah. Personally, I think it's going to be Wednesday at the earliest. He's got a full day of court tomorrow, depositions and stuff. And according to his lawyer, he will not be pleading the fifth. He will be speaking. He will be giving deposition.
Yeah, because he said that originally he was going to plead the fifth in the civil case due to the fact that he had that criminal case pending. And I overheard a lawyer say basically, you always plead the fifth in that situation, just as a precaution that someone could misconstrue. You could stumble on something and make it negative against you. So.
Yeah, so I would be surprised if he has to go all day, tomorrow, hearing these women, speak about him, and he's going to be trying to defend himself, and then later that day he chooses where he's going to play football. I mean, personally, I think it's going to be Wednesday, maybe even Thursday, maybe even Friday. I unfortunately think this is going to drag out a little bit, but I hope it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
That way the Panthers can know for sure and can move on with the rest of their free agents one way or the other.
I mean, again, we're talking about like some top tier free agents are still out there, Terrell Armstead. And if we don't get Deshaun Watson, I mean, you could get a left tackle there and draft that quarterback in the draft.
Yeah. Do you think I don't see any way the Panthers make the 6th pick.
I don't either.
Like it's either going to be traded in the Deshaun Watson trade or they're going to trade back. With cutting Bouye, cutting Morgan Fox, losing Hassan Reddick, they're not going to have enough money to sign all these free agents to replace all these guys. And they don't have enough draft picks right now to replace all of them either.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to have to trade back. And man, if they do trade for Deshaun Watson, I mean, it seems like it's going to be 3 first-round picks plus more picks plus players. The Panthers are really going to set themselves back. Outside of the quarterback, they're really going to be set back with this trade if it happens.
Yeah, They really are. You're really banking on Deshaun Watson basically carrying the team on his back for 2-3
for a
years.
couple of years. Yeah.
I mean, you won't have. I mean, would they have money for DJ Moore, or would DJ Moore be shipped off to Houston? I mean,
Yeah, DJ Moore could very well be. I mean, what we've heard is young defensive players, but there's no reason to think that Deshaun or DJ Moore is like off the table.
yeah,
I mean, if you had to give up DJ Moore or like a Brian Burns or Jeremy Chin, none. I don't want to give up any of those guys, but it could happen.
yeah. And
So yeah,
vice versa though. Deshaun may be like looking at our roster saying, well, they got Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall. I mean, they have some weapons.
McCaffrey,
Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield. I mean, at least
Ian Thomas. Ian Thomas, we just signed with this big deal. Who wouldn't want to come play there with Ian Thomas?
I mean, so you never know that could be a reason why he wants to come here. He's like, hey, let's fix that offensive line. I could make some magic happen on the offensive side.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the thing is, if they have to give up more than first round picks, then they're probably going to have to give up next year's second, maybe 2024's second, then maybe 2023, 2024 third. Like it could be years before we have, day one, day two picks.
And the good thing though is if you trade for Deshaun Watson, his cap number goes down dramatically in the next couple of years. It goes down to like 32 million. I know that sounds like a lot, but I have a feeling if he would hit free agency in a couple of years, it would be more 40, 50. The way it's looking, most quarterbacks are.
It's what 37 this year, 37 next year, and then 32 the 2 years after that. I think.
I thought it was near 40 this year.
37 is near 40. Yeah,
I thought it was more at
pretty
40.
close. No, I think it's 37. Both of these 2 years. But if they sign Deshaun or if they trade for Deshaun Watson, they will restructure him. They will restructure him as soon as he gets here. And they can get him down to a $7 million cap hit for this season. But next season, it would be like 42. So they're they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But they can do some stuff.
This year it's at 40.4 million. So yeah.
Yeah. There's no way that they go into the season with that number.
No.
They'll make that work.
I mean, like you said, they'll always come somehow organize money around and free up some space. And who knows, he may be trying to get that freed up so they could get an offensive line around him.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and after, and we're assuming like this conversation is just if they make the trade.
Yeah.
But you've got this year, you've got next year, then you're probably looking at an extension to Deshaun Watson where you can spread, give him a big signing bonus, spread that money out a little bit. And you probably are looking at a lower cap hit in 2024, as well. So, they're going to figure it out. That there's cap wizardry that can happen. So, I'm not like the salary is honestly like the least of my concerns here. It's really just what are the Panthers going to have to give up?
Yeah.
And I tweeted this out earlier. If I'm Deshaun Watson, I would tell Houston, if it's Carolina, Carolina's the choice. Negotiate with Carolina. I'm not waiving my no trade clause for anybody else. Because if he says, well, it's either Carolina or New Orleans, you guys make the deal. I'm fine with either. Then there's going to be a bidding war.
Oh, yeah.
And whatever has to be given up is going to be way more than if he just says, I'm going to New Orleans or I'm going to Carolina. If he says I'm going to Carolina and that's it, then maybe we get away with just the 3 first-round picks and no players or just one player or something like that. But if it's a bidding war, then all of a sudden you could be looking at it could really devastate the franchise, honestly.
And you got to think, too, that David Tepper has been desperate. All the reports has been desperately wanting Deshaun Watson since last year.
Yeah.
So who knows?
I'm telling you, if Deshaun Watson says he is open to coming to the Panthers, he will waive his no trade clause. The Panthers will get the deal done.
Yeah.
The Panthers will give more than anybody else because David Tepper will make sure that happens. He will gut the franchise to have that franchise quarterback. And one thing we haven't talked about, and I was thinking about today, Deshaun Watson he's basically forced his way out of Houston.
Correct.
There is no guarantee that he will not do that to whatever team he goes to next.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree.
That bothers me a little bit. I mean, obviously his character issues bother me as well. But the fact that he is already forcing his way out of one team, a team that's not very good and has not been very good with him at quarterback, coming here, a team that has not been very good the last few years. And if we make that trade, are going to trade away some good pieces and good assets of the future, a team that might not be good for a couple more years. That worries me a little bit.
And you got to think, too, he signed this huge deal, 4 years, $156 million extension. 1 year after he signed that is when all this stuff happened where he wanted out before any allegations occurred. So, I mean, I remember Houston felt good. Like, yeah, we got our franchise quarterback locked up. And 1 year later, so you really don't know what you're getting from Deshaun in that type of aspect. Is it that fluky situation where he was sick of that type of franchise? There's rumors that the head owner is kind of racist. Bad owner. Deshaun wanted some input in the last head coaching search.
Yep.
And, they didn't even interview Eric Bieniemy, who he wanted, which is a top candidate. Why would you not appease your franchise quarterback there, at least interview? So I don't know.
They signed Dave Culley as their head coach, and then they just get rid of him after 1 year.
Yeah.
The franchise is not well run. That's pretty obvious. Unfortunately, if he's looking at the last few years of this franchise, he might not think that we're very well run.
You're absolutely correct. But I also wonder if maybe Tepper sent word through Fitterer and agents saying, hey, if Rule doesn't get to the playoffs this year, you'll be able to have a say, not like choosing a coach, but hey, I really heard Bieniemy is a great coach to play for. Okay, we'll bring him in for an interview.
Yeah. I saw a tweet from one of the WFNZ guys who had someone from, I think, like a Houston beat writer on, and he was saying that David Tepper told Deshaun Watson's representation that he could choose the next head coach if that's what it took to get him here. He could choose the next head coach.
I don't like that.
Maybe that's not. Maybe that's just what was relayed, and that's not what was actually said. But I think at the very least, like you said, he will have input, and he probably should. I don't mind if an elite quarterback has a say in who's going to be running the team, like who's going to be running the offense, and at least is, not necessarily like they have a vote,
Yeah.
But they should be in the process. I think
agree.
That's okay.
I agree that they should be able to have some input. Now, you're not going to just say, hey, Aaron Rodgers, who do you want? That's a little stretch, but saying, hey, what are your thoughts on this guy? Because you never want to. I mean, look at the big name quarterbacks who have been under fire or almost moved. Russell Wilson, him and Pete Carroll stopped getting along. Aaron Rodgers didn't get along with their GM.
Right.
I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
And he almost left because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, number one, the compensation that the Panthers have to give up. And then number two, there are conflicting reports as to does Deshaun, where does he rank Carolina? Like, I've seen where Carolina's his preferred destination. I've seen where he doesn't really want to come to Carolina because of the perceived dysfunction, and the question with the head coach. If I had to guess, I would probably lean more towards the latter, because I think everybody in the league is seeing that. We heard reports of that when Matt Rule was filling out his coaching staff, that a lot of guys didn't want to come here because of the notion that he was probably a lame duck coach.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to bring that up because of the simple fact that I've been reading conflicting reports. Oh, Deshaun really wants to go to Carolina, close to his hometown, close to his college town, and then he could pick his head coach or help pick the next coach. Yeah. And then I heard, oh no, it's New Orleans. He really doesn't want to go to Carolina due to dysfunction. It's just back and forth, and it's like I have no clue which way it's really going to lean.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. Like, I'm seeing everything is conflicting. I'm seeing blue checks, on Twitter saying one thing, and then another blue check saying something completely opposite of that. People with 150,000 followers saying one thing, and then people with 200,000 followers saying completely different things.
Albert Breer was one that was saying that Carolina was the front runner, and Jason LeConte from CBS Sports was saying, whatever his name is, said the complete opposite. So it's and both are respected reporters.
Very well respected guys who have their own sources. And, it could be those sources are hearing different things. Like, nobody knows what Deshaun Watson's thinking. And until that choice is made and the trade is finished, we're not going to know.
Yeah.
I hope if it's us that he's excited about coming, because otherwise in 2 or 3 years, we're just going to find ourselves in the same position as the Texans. And we hope that we would have to hope that Deshaun Watson would have the same type of trade value, but it's possible he wouldn't if he's now going to be on his second team where he's begging out. So I don't know.
Yeah. Another former Panther has signed with a team. Daquan Jones now is with Buffalo Bills. That just came over the last 5 minutes. So.
Okay. Carolina to Buffalo connection continues.
And
rolls on.
And that wasn't even a connection between.
Yeah. Right. yeah. He wasn't here at that time, but I don't know. I saw AJ Klein was released. Linebacker AJ Klein. I wouldn't mind seeing him come back. Any other free agents that are currently out there that just off the top of your head? I know there's so many. Like I can't really, other than AJ Klein, I can't really think of any. Just off the top of my head, I would want, but I know there's a ton of them. But I
was gonna say I don't really have anybody off the top of my head. I would like maybe looking at some linebacking help. AJ Klein, I don't know, would really fit that piece as he's probably pushing 30 and he was never really good.
I mean, well, he was pretty good with the Saints. I mean, he was solid. He's a solid guy. Like, he's not Luke Kuechly by any stretch, but I think he's average. He would be, if you could get him for the right price, I'd love to have him back. It's just so hard because until the Deshaun Watson thing happens, we really can't even speculate because we don't know how much money we're going to have. We don't know what our needs are going to be. If they trade for Deshaun and they have to give up Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin and Derek Brown or some combination of the three, then you're going to have to fill those holes, and you're not going to be able to do it with the draft.
Yeah, you're going to have to go hit that bargain bin. Yep. Those top 100 free agents, you're looking at 101 to 105.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, that's kind of what's been going on today. Jerry, do you have any other thoughts or comments?
I like this day of free agency better than last year's.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with the signings and the announced signings that they've done so far. I was worried that we weren't going to see anything until Deshaun Watson made his decision. I'm glad that they were like, well, we can't wait. We have to do some things. We have a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that it sounds like Fitterer stayed back and has been working on that stuff all day. So I like that.
Me too. I agree. Other than that, congratulations, Jaguars. You actually won a day. I mean, we'll see if it
Did they
pans out.
win though? Did they really win? Did you see some of the deals?
Oh,
You see how
yeah.
much they paid Christian Kirk?
DJ Moore's about to get fat paid because of that deal.
They paid Christian Kirk. He's going to make like $20 million a year.
Close. It's like 18, but yeah.
Isn't it a 4-year, 82 million or something?
4 years, 72.
Oh, okay. I saw 80 earlier, but
yeah,
that's ridiculous for a guy that was the third receiver in Arizona. I mean, he's talented, but my God, that is a lot of money for, hope. Essentially.
I mean, they also signed Evan Ingram. They're trying to surround Trevor Lawrence with some pass catchers, and they have tons of money to spare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They were like 60 or 70 under million.
Yeah,
under the cap.
I've seen the Jaguars name pop up more than anybody in terms of signings today. So Dolphins as well have made some good signings. So, but I haven't seen much from NFC South teams. I mean, I know Tampa's been re-signing some of their guys.
Okay, I told you this off the. I think Tom Brady made his decision early because of Deshaun Watson, because it was reported that the Bucs were interested and were creating a package together, and then Tom Brady and some front office guys for the Bucs met somewhere in Europe, and then he announced it. That's kind of
they were at a Premier League.
And I'm wondering if maybe what happened is, the Bucs front office or whoever those guys were who talked to him, went to him, said, "Hey, we're going to make a serious push for Deshaun Watson. Are you coming back or not? Because we need to know to make this move or not." And I think this is all my theory. He said, "Yeah."
I think that Tom Brady would have loved for the Bucs to sign Deshaun Watson, because then they could have gotten rid of Tom Brady and he could have gone where he wanted, which I think was San Francisco. Everybody that has been close to Tom Brady and every report I've seen is Tom wanted to go to San Francisco. I think the Bucs realized they were not going to be able to get Deshaun Watson. They didn't have enough assets to give up. And when Tom Brady asked if they could release him, they said, "No, if you want to play football, you're playing here." So I do think that, Deshaun Watson may have played into it a little bit in that sense. But I think if they were going to go after Deshaun, then Tom would have been thrilled and he could have gone where he wanted. I truly think that he wanted to go to San Francisco. So, which I would have preferred as well, to get him out of the division,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see how good that team is. I mean, he's going
to be 45 years old. He's going to be 45 years old.
And they're losing a lot.
When they start playing.
They're going to lose a lot this year. Players, I should say.
I think so. I don't know that they're going to be very good this year.
Yeah.
Honestly.
We'll see.
Tom can hit the wall. I hope
he
will.
Any last thoughts?
No, other than we'll definitely be back in a couple of days to talk about where Deshaun goes.
And what happens. If it's going to happen tomorrow, because I'll be in the office and we won't record until.
Are you in the office Wednesday as well?
Yeah.
Are you in the office every day from now on?
50% of my work will be in the office, so
you'll be back Thursday.
Yeah, I'll be back.
So it's gonna happen Thursday. That's how I'm predicting it.
Let's hope Thursday. Lunch break recording sessions.
There you go.
All right, we want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show.
We'll be back as soon as this Deshaun Watson mess is figured out. Or if the Panthers make any other big free agents signings, we'll pop in and talk about that. And then we will be continuing our draft profile series in some form probably next week. So until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.